grants you the ability to do this and to talk about the Prophet ﷺ, even to a small group, you'll find that when you already speak about these moments of when it all began, it's just it's very deep and very beautiful. So we've arrived at the end of his preparations, alayhi salatu wasalam. I've talked about everything that's happened in his life before he became prophet, before his prophecy, before that moment that we'll talk about today. And I went through all the different life experiences that he went through, alayhi salatu wasalam, what he gained from these things. And we talked about all these points in some level of depth in the last number of weeks. Today I come to the final preparations, the last few things that happened. And they are of a certain level of importance, the last few things that took place prior to him becoming Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the first thing that I'll cover today is something called al-khala. Al-khala, hubbiba ilayhi al-khala alayhi salatu wasalam. It is a known phrase. You'll find in the books of hadith. Aisha radiallahu anha would use this phrase quite often. Hubbiba ilayhi al-khala means it became beloved to him to have a certain level of solitude. He wanted to be alone, alayhi salatu wasalam. We're talking now, he's 37, 38 years old, alayhi salatu wasalam, right? How old was he when he became prophet? Right, he was 40. He was 40 years old, alayhi salatu wasalam. So just a year and a half or 2 years before he became Rasulullah, alayhi salatu wasalam, before the prophecy began, before this whole story he was initiated, he started to like to spend time alone, alayhi salatu wasalam. Just take some time for himself. And the best thing he could come up with was he would go up to the mountains. And he would look for places where he could sit and contemplate and think, alayhi salatu wasalam. And he would do this for around 2 years. تقول عائشة فكان يتحنث في الغار الليالي ذوات العدد. He would go and he would spend time, a number of nights in a row, sometimes up to a week. And Khadija radiallahu anha, which has always amazed me, by the way, that Khadija was okay with this. I don't understand how she was okay with this. Try doing this now. Speak to your wife and tell her I want to go in solitude for a couple of weeks at a time. This is not going to go well at all. And I don't blame her, because you're probably lying and you probably want to do something else and you're just covering up. But alayhi salatu wasalam would say, I want to go and I want to contemplate. Because she was so involved and engaged in his line of thought, alayhi salatu wasalam, she respected him as a person, not just as her husband. She saw the type of man he was and the need he had, the psychological and personal need that he had to be alone and to think. She supported him, radiallahu anha. Not only did she support him, she would take food up to him. And once we come to actually talking about the ghar, you'll see that it's an hour, 45-minute walk. It's a very difficult walk. They took me to do the walk when I was younger, when I lived in Saudi Arabia. And I remember getting up there, I was in grade 7 or so. I was pooped, I was very tired, and I was young. It's very hard to get up to where he would go, alayhi salatu wasalam. He would go to a place where he was introduced to by someone before him, a man called Zayd ibn Amr ibn Nufayl. And this was a man who was also a muwahhid, he was a hanif. He was one of the few people who lived in Arabia who actually believed in La ilaha illallah. You'll see there's a couple of them. So he got in touch, alayhi salatu wasalam, with all the people who had this background. And this person did a lot of contemplation in the same area, so he would go do the same, alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, the point that I want to take and talk about, if you don't mind going forward, can you go forward? Yes. We're going to talk about this for a moment. Why would he go and want solitude? Are we supposed to want to be alone as Muslims? Is this something that you're required to do? Is khala something that you're supposed to practice as a Muslim? Not really. Al-khala was something that the Sahaba didn't do after he died, alayhi salatu wasalam. Did not become something that every Sahabi or Tabi'i would do. But a certain amount of time that you take out of your life to contemplate, to think, to reflect, to go into a mode of deep thought about life and about where you are and who you are, is something that is extremely positive for you in your life. We don't do it enough anymore. The concept of tafakkur. If you go take the Quran and you go through the Quran, how many times he says subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Indeed, there are signs for those who contemplate and think. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. For those who have the intellect. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي النُّهَى. For those who have the ability to think. And you find the Quran talking about this time and time again. Contemplation, deep thought, tafakkur. I have a couple of quotes for you up here. And I'm going to start with the hadith when Aisha was asked, أي شأن رسول الله كان عجيبا. What's the most interesting thing that you knew about the Prophet ﷺ that you can share with us? فقالت وأي شأنه لم يكن عجبا. What about him wasn't interesting? ولكن مرت علينا ليلة. I'll tell you about a night that happened once. كان يصلي فنزل عليه جبريل. Jibreel came to him during the night, and they didn't happen very often. The Prophet ﷺ was praying. قال فغم, meaning he was kind of out of it for a few moments as Jibreel brought him to the verses. قال ثم وقف صلى الله عليه وسلم فصلى فبكى ثم صلى فبكى ثم صلى فبكى, all night long out of the ordinary for him عليه الصلاة والسلام. He would usually pray for a while, sleep for a while. Yeah, sometimes it would be a high level of khushu', sometimes a bit less. But this night, he just kept on praying and kept on crying and kept on praying and kept on crying all night long. Until right before Fajr, and Aisha was awake, she couldn't sleep seeing this. She wasn't sure what had happened. فقالت يا رسول الله ما بك. What has happened? يعني ما يبكيك. Why are you crying? فلم يرد, and he didn't answer. ثم جاءه بلال. يعني يطرق عليه الفجر. Bilal was waking up for Fajr. فقال يا رسول الله اخرج بنا إلى الفجر. Let's go for Fajr. The Prophet ﷺ opened the door and he could see Bilal and the Prophet ﷺ's face, how touched he was, how emotionally how emotional he was at the moment. فقال يا رسول الله ما يبكيك تبكي وقد غفر الله لك ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر. Why are you crying? Allah has forgiven everything for you. There's no reason for you to cry. فقال كيف لا أبكي. How do I not cry? وقد أنزل الله علي الليلة آيات ويل لمن قرأها ولم يتدبرها. And tonight Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to me verses that I tell you, wail, meaning there is a severe, I warn you of severe punishment if you do not take the time to contemplate and reflect upon these verses. فقالت وما هي. What are these verses? Aisha is listening. فتلا صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. And then if you go on to the end of Surah Ali Imran, probably some of the most beautiful verses in the Quran in total. But these two are very clear. Indeed, in the creation of the cosmos and the earth, and the differences that happen between day and night upon the planet, there are signs for those who contemplate, those who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether they are standing, sitting, or lying down. I mean, regardless of what situation they're in their life, what status they're in. And they continue to contemplate in the creation of everything around them, coming to the conclusion, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. Oh my Lord, you did not create this in vain. Subhanak, you are exalted from doing anything in vain. So please, qina, protect us from the punishment of the fire. وَيْلٌ لِمَنْ قَرَأَهَا وَلَمْ يَتَدَبَّرْهَا. He warns alayhi salatu wasalam from punishment for those who read this and don't take the time to think of deep thought. Something that we don't do very often anymore. So there's a few quotes up there. روي عن غير واحد من الصحابة أنه قال نور الإيمان التفكر. More than one Sahabi was narrated from them that they said the light of Iman, of faith, is contemplation, is tafakkur. روي عن أم الدرداء أنها قالت, الدرداء is one of the Sahabiyat, she was asked ما أعظم عبادة أبي الدرداء. What was the best thing Abu Darda did in terms of his worship? فقالت أعظم عبادته التفكر. The thing that he did the best and the most was contemplation. Was reflection upon his own life. Sufyan al-Thawri would say تفكر ليلة خير من قيام سنة. For you to spend for one night just thinking, contemplating upon your own life is better than praying for a whole year. Al-Hasan al-Basri took it one step further. قال تفكر ساعة خير من قيام سنة. If you spend just an hour contemplating about what actually your life is about and where you are and who you are and what you've done and where you're going and what this all is about, and it's better than praying mindlessly for a whole year. We can do it very well as people. All the big questions, just tuck them aside, under the rug, and just keep on moving forward. Just keep on going on with life. You pray, you don't have to think exactly about what you're praying. You fast, you don't think exactly why you're fasting. You give zakah, you don't take time to contemplate that. You just go through life, quickly go through life. And then you're 30, and you're 40, and you're 50, and you're 60, and you still haven't actually sat down and thought about your own life in depth. Alayhi salatu wasalam couldn't do it anymore.
He was 38 years old and he couldn't do it anymore. He was frustrated. He looked around him. Everything around him was corruption. Around him was financial corruption, social corruption, religious corruption, ethical corruption. Nothing was working. Does that sound familiar to any of us? Nothing was working around him, alayhi salatu wasalam. Everything was failing. He could no longer just continue to go through his life normally. He asked his wife, I need some time. I have to figure this out. I don't know where I stand in all of this. What is my role? Who am I? What am I doing here? What's the next step? Is this okay? Do we continue like this? Do we allow the next generation to go through exactly what we're going through today? Is the way that people are functioning today okay? Should I be fine with everything that's happening around me? Should I just accept and keep on moving? Or should I stop for a second and say, this is not right? You don't have the answers, and neither do I. And to be honest, at that moment, neither did he, alayhi salatu wasalam. He didn't have the answer either. But he needed time to think, and he took time to contemplate, and he would go to that mountain and think, alayhi salatu wasalam. And Khadija would join him, radiyallahu ta'ala anha. You need time in your life for deep thought. You really do. Take time. Every day, take an hour. That's too much. Every week, take an hour. Too much. Every month, take an hour. An hour where you actually think about who you are. You stare yourself in your inner mirror. And you ask yourself the tough questions. Am I? Who am I? What am I? Where am I going? What am I about? Am I honest about myself? Do I have a message that I live for in life? Am I someone who has actual clear ethics? Or do I cross boundaries whenever it works for me? And then because no one can see me, I act like it didn't happen. Do I actually care? Am I serious about serious things? Or do I just draw a blind eye to the stuff that I don't want to think about and talk about? Do I feel like I'm an individual who has an individual responsibility in life? Or do I look around and say, well, no one seems to care, why should I? What exactly is it about? Yeah, these questions no one can answer for you. No one will answer them for you. You have to answer them for yourselves. And if you don't answer them for yourselves early in life, you'll get used to the lies and you'll continue within lies. He could no longer do it, alayhi salatu wasalam. You could feel that he came to a point that I can't do this anymore. Even though, looking at his ethics, alayhi salatu wasalam, he didn't need it. He did not need any of it. But his standard for himself was so high that he decided that I had to take some time. And what are we going to say, wallahi? When I think about myself, what are we doing? Well, we have no idea what we're doing. We have no idea what we're doing. The concept of tafakkur, of taking time and contemplating and performing deep thought upon your own life and being honest with yourself. The best thing you'll ever do in your life is being honest with yourself. You can put a mask up for everybody around you. It's not a good thing, but you will do it. It's how life works. But if you can be honest with yourself and say, I'm not doing this right, and I'm not doing that right, and I can be a better person, and I know I should be a better person. Just having that level of honesty, inshallah, you should be okay. Inshallah, that level of honesty will save you at some point in the future. But if you fail to have that level of honesty, I tell you, you will continue to lie to yourself. You will begin to believe your own lies, and then you will stand in front of Allah, and you'll lie to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right in His face. And the Quran tells us that happens. يَوْمَ يَبْعَثُهُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا فيحلفون له كما يحلفون لكم ويحسبون أنهم على شيء ألا إنهم هم الكاذبون. They stand in front of Allah when they're resurrected and they swear to Him and take oaths. I swear to you, Ya Rabb, I was this and I was that. Just like they used to tell you. And they believe that they're right, but they're not. It's just the lies have been lies upon lies upon lies to the point where we don't even know who we are anymore. To the point where we don't have the ability to look ourselves in the mirror and be honest with who we are. And be truthful about ourselves and about the way we feel and the way we think. That's how you fix things. But life is quick and shaitan knows how to keep you busy. So you don't take time and stop. It's just like a pause. It's like you're pausing for a moment. Just pause, stop for a second. Why am I doing this? Where am I? I want you to take a second and think about how you were 3 or 4 years ago. 5 years ago. 10 years ago. Depending on how old you are. If you're 5, you can't think 10 years before, obviously. But you can think, how were you before? Were you better? Are you better now? Have you changed in any way? Are you a better person? Are you more honest? Are you more trustworthy? Are you still as compassionate? Are you still as empathetic? Are you still as loving? Are you still committed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His message the same way? Are you closer to God? Are you farther away? Are you a better practitioner as a Muslim? Are you worse? What's happening? And if you don't do this, I don't know what we're doing. But to be honest, there's no point. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, then that's what he did, alayhi salatu wasalam. This is what made him Rasulullah. You're listening to what I'm trying to say? It's during the moments that he did this that he became Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I think there's a message there for all of us. He could have been given prophecy anywhere, anytime, any situation. The moment Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose for the Prophet ﷺ to be given prophecy was when he was doing this activity. So that we would continue to understand that for the rest of our lives. And then he filled the Quran with these concepts. He filled the Quran with these concepts. And then all those who actually followed him ﷺ understood this in depth. You go back to the one before. Yeah, stay here for a moment. Subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to make sure the Prophet ﷺ was prepared for prophecy. It's not something that a person can be ready for. You can't really, prepare for this. For Jibreel to come to you, you would think you're probably insane. And he did, alayhi salatu wasalam, as you'll see in a moment. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eased him into prophecy by a few things happening. As Aisha tells us, فَكَانَ مِمَّا سَبَقَ النُّبُوَّةِ الرُّؤْيَا الصَّالِحَةِ يَرَاهَا فِي مَنَامِهِ فَتَحْدُثُ كَمِثْلَ فَلَقِ الصُّبْحِ فِي النَّهَارِ. He would see something at night, a dream, a vision at night. And then he would wake up in the morning and he would tell this vision to his wife or to his children, and then exactly the way he said it, the next day or the same day it would happen. Something would occur exactly as he saw it, alayhi salatu wasalam. They would come running to him, Ya Rasulullah, oh dad, husband, look what happened exactly the way you said it. And it kept on happening for 6 months. For 6 months prior to his prophecy. Actually he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, لم يبق من النبوة إلا الرؤيا الصالحة يراها الرجل في منامه هي جزء من 46 جزءا من النبوة. So there's nothing left of prophecy except seeing a vision. Seeing something that later on happens as it is. It's a part of 46 different parts of nubuwah. You wonder why there are 46? Okay. How many years was he a prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam? 23. He saw this, he had this for 6 months. How much is 6 months into a year? Half, right? Which leaves us with what's the fraction? What's 23 over a half? 46. Do the math. I'm a doctor, I don't know how to do math, so you have to do math. We're not very good at math. جزء من 46 جزءا من النبوة. I have a question up there. Do you agree? Do we take it too far sometimes? We do. We take it way too far. Like way too far. The thing I despise the most as what I do. I love what I do. I love talking about the deen. I love talking to people and explaining Islam. The thing that I don't like is when someone wants to tell me his dream or her dream. I don't like listening to dreams. Why? Because one out of maybe 1,000 dreams has a meaning. Everything else is just something that is meaningless. But we like to believe that our dreams are meaningful. And we waste a lot of time trying to interpret dreams and understanding it's not really there. It doesn't really happen that much. A ru'ya is only something that repeats itself time after time. That's a ru'ya. You see it once, doesn't mean anything. An actual ru'ya for us is when you see it night after night after night, or you see it constantly, and then you go ask someone who has the knowledge of this. I don't have the knowledge of this, never come to me with this. I have no idea. I have no ability to explain your dream, no matter how clear or obvious the dream is. Your guess about your dream is as good as mine, I don't know. Other people may have better information than I do. But that's a ru'ya. Don't take this too far. Don't take this too far. This is usually something that's, for people on a very high level of closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the most of us, dreams are a reflection of the struggles that we're having during our days. For the rest of us, your dreams are a reflection of the personal / psychological struggles that you are having within your day. Take them seriously, but don't treat them in a mystic fashion or mystic manner. That's my advice to everybody. The last point I will say is some unusual occurrences. He told us عليه الصلاة والسلام قال كان قبل النبوة في مكة حجر إني لأعرف مكانه كان يسلم عليه قبل البعثة. There were things that would do, there were rocks and boulders and trees that would do things before he became Prophet ﷺ that were very unusual. He would walk by a rock and he would say, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. He would look around, who's Rasulullah? He doesn't know he's Rasulullah. And who is saying this? He looks around, he sees nobody. So he keeps on going, he's spooked out. The next day he walks by the same place, the same thing he hears. And he's coming from this rock, he can swear, I swear there's something. He knocks on the rock, there's nothing there. He can swear it's coming from the rock. And he walks by, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. The same thing for a tree. It was just preparation. Just so he hears the word. Just so he gets a little bit more used to it. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because what's going to come next is going to be very difficult and very heavy. These are all his preparations. Move forward 2 slides. Let's go through them quickly before we take this. These are, in my humble assessment, these are the preparations he was given, alayhi salatu wasalam. There's probably many more, but these are the ones that I could come up with. These are the experiences that he got through his life, alayhi salatu wasalam. The amount of information and experience and knowledge and wisdom that he had in his life did not come through mystic means. They weren't miraculous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not insert them through his will into the Prophet ﷺ's mind and heart. No, it was life. It was the school of life that he had to learn from, alayhi salatu wasalam. He had to go through a lot of difficulties. He had to learn about death at an early age. He had to change 5 houses in a few years. He got to spend time with his grandfather and pick up some political and geographical wisdom, alayhi salatu wasalam, and ethics. He got to live with his uncle and he was forced to work at a young age. He had to work with a shepherd, with animals, and learn empathy and mercy and compassion and leadership. He had to work as a merchant and learn how to deal with people, read people, speak to people, be honest as you are trying to make a living, which is very difficult. He got to travel, alayhi salatu wasalam, throughout Arabia, so he learned people's accents and people's cultures and people's backgrounds, the different ethnic groups that existed in Arabia. We think it's all just one group, but it's not. As I explained to you, many tribes, many genealogies, many backgrounds, they're not similar. Yes, it's the same language, but they're very different people, very different. He had to learn all this, alayhi salatu wasalam, going through. He got to participate in war and understand how war works. Warfare is important. He had to understand what it meant. The horrific aspect of war and the ability to actually stand your ground and sacrifice and be brave. He learned the art of peace, how to write treaties, how to bring people together, how to gather with those you don't agree with on something that's khair. He married, alayhi salatu wasalam. Learned to be a spouse. That's a skill. It's a skill to be a spouse. It's not something, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes discipline for you to be able to share your life with another individual. He had children, alayhi salatu wasalam. Having children is not something easy. He had Zayd. Zayd is not his own child. He learned to love Zayd as his own child even though he wasn't. He loved Zayd as his own child even though Zayd wasn't his own child. To learn to love another person, a child, as if they're your own. He had in the house Khadija's 2 sons, Hala and Hind. Khadija had sons from a previous marriage living in his house, alayhi salatu wasalam. He had to take care of a family. Half of the family wasn't even his, alayhi salatu wasalam. He had to lose 2 children in his life. He had to bury his kids at a young age. Qasim and Abdullah, they died before prophecy, before he became prophet, as far as most of the narrations go. Some say they were after. Leadership skills that he learned, alayhi salatu wasalam. Testimonies he got from people, and then contemplation and deep thought and reflection. These are the lessons that I think he picked up, alayhi salatu wasalam, along the way. Let's move forward. This is called Jabal An Noor. It is right beside Mecca. If you ever go to for Umrah, ask to be introduced to this. Unfortunately, people take this too far, and if you go to the Ghar now, they've colored and written stuff, and it's not as simple as it was before. But it's nice to get a feel of it. To walk up those steps and kind of imagine yourself, you're walking up you're walking in the footsteps of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Just so you can kind of imagine it. What was he thinking? Why was he doing this? Why was he going up the mountain and spending night after night after night? What was he doing up there? No iPads, no iPhones, no Xboxes, nothing. There's nothing. What is he going to do? Just sitting. The beauty of Ghar Hira, the actual place the Prophet ﷺ moved, there's a few more pictures. We can play that in a few minutes. The beauty of it, that when you go there, you'll understand why he chose it. It took him quite some time to figure it out, or to actually find it. Because when you go there, and you sit right in the cave, and you look forward, you can see the Kaaba. Now it's harder to see the Kaaba because of all the skyscrapers that they have around it. But before that, you can actually see the Kaaba, are all you see ahead of you are just the mountains and the sky. It's this amazing, just this beautiful imagery that you get to experience when you're sitting up there. And I can only imagine him, alayhi salatu wasalam, sitting there, looking at the Kaaba, looking at the house that was built by Ibrahim alayhi salam. When Ibrahim had a dream long time ago, رَبِّ اجْعَلْ هَذَا الْبَلَدَ آمِنًا وَجُنُبْنِي وَبَنِيَّ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامَ رَبِّ اجْعَلْ هَذَا بَلَدًا آمِنًا وَارْزُقْ أَهْلَهُ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ مَنْ آمَنَ مِنْهُمْ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. He had a dream, alayhi salatu wasalam, of a place that would be safe and be free, and people would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and live in harmony. He had a vision, Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he's looking at this house, and he knows that it was built by Ibrahim many moons ago. And this has been completely corrupted, and now it's covered with asnam, and people are living a different life, and they're corrupted in the way that they think, and they've completely gone astray. And ethically, and socially, and financially, and politically, in every way, nothing is working, and he's sitting up there thinking, what is my role? What is my role? Ibrahim alayhi salam is my great-grandfather. What is my role? What am I supposed to do? Do I leave things as they are, or what do I do? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sitting in Ghar Hira, alayhi salatu wasalam. It's actually quite a walk up. A 39, 40-year-old man. He did this for a few years. He would go for a few nights and come back and work, and then go for a couple of nights and just sit there. Yatahannath. He would worship. They knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ wasn't going to be introduced to God. He knew Allah. وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُمْ مَنْ خَلَقْ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهِ. They knew Allah. And alayhi salatu wasalam never worshipped an idol before. There wasn't something a part of his mentality whatsoever. Then what is he thinking about? If you know God, Ya Rasulullah, you don't have an idol, what do you want? Most of us, that's all we really have. Many Muslims, that's all they really possess to begin with. I know Allah. My parents are Muslim. I've heard about prayer and zakah and a couple of other stuff, and a few things are haram apparently. And that's as far as I go. Well, you have probably as much information as he did back then, alayhi salatu. His problem was what is my role? What do I do? What is my purpose? Do I have a purpose to fulfill? Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want something from me? How do I find my way back to the footsteps of Ibrahim alayhi salam? How do I find my way back? What do I need to do? This was his contemplation. And we all share the same questions. The only thing is he didn't have answers, alayhi salatu wasalam, that were there. And you do. It's right over there. It's all over. It's in your house somewhere on one of the shelves. It's very simple. It's right there. You can open, and you can figure out your answers. And you can find out what is it that you're here to do. Why you're here. Why are you breathing and thinking and living and experiencing everything around you? Why are you conscious in a way that no other creature in this universe is conscious? Why is it? Why can you think about thought and contemplate about contemplation and wonder about where you come? Why? I don't know other animals that do this. No mammals do this besides us. I've never seen a tiger walking around depressed because he doesn't know what his purpose in life is. They're all happy with whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them and they're living it. But the human being has this higher level of functioning that makes it impossible not to take a moment and think about these things. And alayhi salatu wasalam was looking for it. Until that night. Okay. This is where it all began. Where all this glory and all this beauty, where all this love and compassion, where all the sacrifice and courage, where all the stories that you hear and will ever hear, this is where it all started. For us at least. It's a continuation of many, many prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ كَمَا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى نُوحٍ. Right? والنبيين من بعده وأوحينا إلى إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط وعيسى وأيوب ويونس وهارون وسليمان وآتينا داود زبورا ورسلا قد قصصناهم عليك من قبل ورسلا لم نقصصهم عليك وكلم الله موسى تكليما. Many prophets before you. It's a continuation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been teaching prophecies and been sending messages and books and teachings for many, 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 many years and many millennials. And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was going to be Khatam al-Nabiyyin. He would be the seal of prophecies. It would be the end, the last one. He didn't think about it, alayhi salatu wasalam. Why? Because all prophets before him, since Ismail alayhi salam, have been been Bani Israel, right? All of them. Since Ismail alayhi salam, all of them, Ishaq, Yaqub, Yusuf, Yahya, Zakaria, Dawood, Sulaiman, Musa, Isa, all of them come from that. So alayhi salatu wasalam wasn't thinking of prophecy at the time. The beginning is a very simple place. You think that this last message should begin in a place that is glorious. It should be in a place of where the music in the background is playing, like one of the Lion King movie where they stand up and it all goes up and everyone cheers. Top of a mountain somewhere and everyone can see it and a bolt of lightning happens and fireworks in the sky. No, it's going to start in a very simple place. It's start a little cave. When you go to Ghar Hira, that's what you'll appreciate. You'll stand there and look here and say, this is where it started. Now, this is really simple. Because it's not about the place, it's not about the appearance, it's the strength of the idea. It's the strength of the idea. The place is simple, the beginning is simple. It doesn't matter. The idea is so strong, it doesn't matter where it began. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose a place that was going to be very, very simple. Why? Because the idea is going to be so powerful. Because the idea itself is going to be something that can transform nations. Because he's going to die, alayhi salatu wasalam, 23 years later. And then 30 years after that moment, Islam is going to be in 3 continents. Most races on the planet will have already entered Islam one way or the other, because of the strength of the idea that he was given, alayhi salatu wasalam. So we can start in a simple place. Most great ideas start in simple places anyways. It was at the end of the lunar month. Some people say it's Ramadan. I tend to believe that, but if you don't, it's fine as well. Towards the end of the month. What is known about the end of a lunar month? There's no moon, right? It's the middle of the lunar month that you have that big, nice circle in the sky, and you can see. But the end of the lunar month is pretty dark outside. So it was dark. Alayhi salatu wasalam is sitting in this cave. He's been contemplating for years, thinking, wondering, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praising His glory and hoping that he will be told what to do next and how to bring change upon his people that he lives amongst. How does he bring khair? How does he bring it all back again? How does he turn it and steer it into the right direction again? And that simple place in the middle of the night, when it was with no light outside whatsoever, and with no introduction whatsoever, Jibreel alayhi salam would come down. It's been 600 years since the sky spoke to the earth. It had been 600 years since the sky spoke to the earth. Since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jibreel had been sitting around for 600 years. Hasn't spoken to anyone. Since Isa alayhi salam, prior to him alayhi salatu wasalam. Jibreel hasn't spoken to anyone for quite some time. And now the sky will start a dialogue with the earth one more time. One last time. Just one last time. It'll only go on for 2 decades. And that'll be the last time this ever happens. One of the beautiful things about this, later when the Prophet ﷺ passed away, Ayman Barak al-Habashiyya would later cry. She would cry 3 months after he died, alayhi salatu wasalam, when everyone had kind of, emotionally they had settled down. فَقَالُوا مَا يُبْكِيكِ يَا أُمَّ أَيْمَنَ What's wrong? What's happening? فقالت تبكين فراقا لرسول الله, you're crying because the Prophet ﷺ passed away. خلاص move. فقالت ما لي هذا أبكي. Is that why I'm crying? ولكني أبكي لانقطاع الوحي. I cry because there's no more wahi. I used to live in a house with the Prophet ﷺ where Jibreel used to come. Jibreel used to come here. I didn't see him, but he's a part of this. And he won't come again. Jibreel will never come again. Of course, there's an exception that we'll talk about later. But that's the end. And the dialogue would begin. Jibreel alayhi salam would come down in all his glory. Jibreel, as you go through the sunnah and the seerah of the Prophet alayhi salam, you'll see Jibreel present himself in different ways. He only presented himself in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him 2 times. Now and later when we talk about Isra wal Mi'raj. These are the only 2 times the Prophet alayhi salatu saw him the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created him. يقول فجاءني جبريل نزل علي من السماء له 600 جناح ينفض عنها اللؤلؤ والمرجان يسد الأفق. He came to me with 600 wings. He closed the horizon. I could see nothing else. I could see nothing but this thing that's coming to me. To him, alayhi salatu wasalam, this is an alien. He doesn't know what this is. It's not a human. It's not a creation that he can identify or recognize. He doesn't know what this is. He comes in, doesn't say Salaamu Alaikum. Doesn't knock on the door, doesn't say, can I speak to you? No, he comes and he startles the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He comes with the intention of scaring him, of startling him. That was the intention. Obviously, if he wasn't going to do that, he would let him know. Give him a heads up. Maybe make a few noises outside. Let the Prophet ﷺ come outside and see what's going on. But no, he just entered. يقول صلى الله عليه وسلم in the hadith that I'll narrate for you. In Bukhari and Muslim and many other books. And this is the hadith of Bad'il Wahi. That's what it's called. The hadith at the beginning of Wahi. قال فنزل علي جبريل. Alright, give me just 2 minutes. فنزل علي جبريل ب600 جناح يسد الأفق فغطني. He came and he took the Prophet ﷺ in a hug. It's a hug. I don't know any other way to explain this, to be honest. فغطني means he put his arms around me and he pulled me close. That is, by definition, a hug. قال فغطني حتى بلغ مني الجهد. And he squeezed to the point where I couldn't breathe well anymore. ثم أرسلني فقال اقرأ. Said read. فقلت ما أنا بقارئ. I don't know how to read. قال فغطني الثانية حتى بلغ مني الجهد حتى قلت هذا هو الموت. And then he did it again, and I'm like, this must be death. We all wonder what death is going to be like. This must be death. What else could this be? I have no idea what this is. I can't read anymore. ثم أرسلني فقال اقرأ. فقلت ما أنا بقارئ. I don't know how to read. ثم غطني الثالث. He took me the third time. فأرسلني فقال اقرأ. He took me the third time and I couldn't breathe and let me go. Told me read. فقلت ما أقرأ. Okay, fine. Just no more hugging. What I'll read. What do you want me to read? Show me what I'll read. Whatever you want. I don't know how to read, but you don't seem to understand this and you don't seem to care. So I will read. Just show me what you want me to read. أقرأ ما أقرأ. Just no more. فتلا عليه السلام اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. And then he left. عليه الصلاة والسلام. I'm going to take a minute and just take a break. Why did it all begin with a hug? When you think about it, it's a very awkward way for things to begin. What does a hug symbolize? Very good. Symbolizes love. It's a good way to start things. What else does it symbolize? But it wasn't a regular hug, it was a firm one. It was a hug that was so strong that he felt he almost was going to die. So it brought with it a certain level of seriousness. This is not a game. It was also physical. Why? Because he may think, alayhi salatu wasalam, later he was dreaming. Maybe he'll think, oh, it was all a dream. But no, it wasn't a dream. He felt it. The bruises were there. The pain in his ribs continued, alayhi salatu wasalam. It's like when you think, I'm not sure, is this a dream or not? I need someone to pinch me. Well, there you go. He's going to hug so hard, you're going to feel you're going to die. You'll feel the pain on your ribs for the rest of the night. It symbolizes love. It symbolizes strength. It symbolizes empathy. It tells him, alayhi salatu wasalam, you're entering something that is extremely serious. It's very serious. There's no joking here. You almost died that night. There was no introduction. We didn't give you time. We didn't tell you if you wanted this or not. We didn't ask you if this was an option. If you think, would you consider being? No. This is going to happen either way. But we're going to do it with a hug. So understand it's also full of love. It's full of love and it's full of compassion and empathy. As strong and as strict and as firm as it was going to be as well. And I think that's a beautiful way of looking at it. The first words he would hear, alayhi salatu wasalam, from Jibreel were the words that recited upon you just before the break. Iqra. I'm not going to go into the rest of the verse today. I'll do that next time. I think it's very embarrassing as an ummah that the first words after 600 years of fasting, after 600 years of nothing, of no communication whatsoever, that the first words that Jibreel, that the sky would speak to the earth, that we wouldn't take a moment to think about what it's going to say. There are so many things that the sky could have said that day. Jibreel could have come with anything, and that would be the beginning of the deen. That would be the first thing that we would have learned. And out of all the words that you could have chosen from, I wonder how many of us would have chosen this one. I wonder how many of us would have guessed that that would be the first word. It would be a command. We sometimes misunderstand the word iqra for reading written text. To read written text in Arabic, that is tilawa. That's what that is. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ. That's when you look and you read written text. Or recite written text. Iqra is a word that has in Arabic at least 8 different meanings. It means to learn. It means to comprehend. It means to think. It means to contemplate. It means to read in the literal and figurative way. What do I mean by that? Meaning if I tell you to read into something, or to read between the lines, or to read your own life, or to read your experiences, you understand exactly what I mean, even though you're not going to be reading something that's written. You're just going to be taking time to think about what happened and read this situation. If you look, this is an Arabic use of the word, if there's a status somewhere, if something's happening, you always will phone, on the news they'll phone some specialist, some political analyst, and ask them about their qira'ah. He's not going to recite the Quran for them. He's going to tell them how he comprehends what's happening, what he thinks is going on, what his explanation of the current situation is, and how to get out of it, or what the next step needs to be. That's what iqra means. Iqra means you take a moment, you contemplate, you think, you gather information. You gather as much information as you possibly can. from all the experiences of the people who are living with you and lived before you. And you take that information and you analyze it. And you think about it and you use that information to come up with the next steps. That is what Iqra means. Of course, if you can read written text, you have a head start. Because every book that you read, you're reading the experience and the knowledge and the wisdom of some other person who lived many years before you. You're taking everything from their lives and you're taking it within your own. And now you have the wisdom and the experience of someone else in a few hours of reading. But that's not the actual meaning of the word itself. Iqra has all those meanings up there. The first word that we would be told to do. The first command you'll be given by Allah. What is it, by the way? In Islam, when you're given a command in the Quran, it has to fall under one of the 5 things, right? Every single action has to fall under one of 5 options. Things are either fard, wajib, or they are mahbub, mustahab, mandub, sunnah, or they are mubah, or they are makruh, or they are haram. Right? One of these 5 things. There's no other option. There's no 6th option. Something is, when you're given a command in the Quran, either the command is going to tell you that this is fard, or it's going to say that this is something you should do, or it should say that this is something that's open, you can do it if you want. If you want to leave it, go ahead. Or it's a negative command saying that you shouldn't probably do this. Or it's a negative command that is saying you definitely cannot, must not do this. What is Iqra? What is Iqra? What is it? Under which of these 5 options does Iqra fall? See, it doesn't fall under an option. I'm sorry, it's a trick question. It doesn't really fall under an option. It's beyond all of that. It's beyond that categorization. It doesn't qualify to any of these. Why? Because it's the basis of what this whole religion and faith is built on. It's built on the concept of Iqra. You're going to be an ummah, and the way you're going to move forward is you're going to think, you're going to contemplate, you're going to gather knowledge, you're going to learn, you're going to take the experiences of yourselves and those before you, and you're going to move forward based on the best guess that you have, on the best evidence that is available to you. That is how you're going to live your lives. It's going to be through Iqra. This is the way you're going to move forward. It's going to be evidence-based, it's going to be science-based. And I'm not talking about technology specifically, I'm talking about the scientific method of thinking. This is what Iqra means. It qualifies as something much more imminent, much more important, much more crucial and critical within Islam itself. You can't say, well, it's a fard. Because how do you practice it then, if it's a fard? And if you're going to say it's a sunnah, well, in order for you to say it's a sunnah, you have to have some evidence of why it's not a fard. It's way beyond all of that. It's a part of the Muslim DNA. It runs with the blood. Iqra. And how are you going to Iqra? You're going to do it in the name of the Lord who created you. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. You will do it. You'll do it in His name. You will do it in His name. I mean, you're going to read, looking for outcomes, looking for results that will please Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're doing it for Him. You're doing this as a response to His command, Jalla Jalaluhu. That's why you're going to do it. I can't understand how an ummah that 1400 years ago was told Iqra, and then still half of its population is illiterate, and the other half that never picks up a book. It's better here, by the way. I do this I've done this many times before. And whenever I do this talk in the Middle East and I ask the question, it's always embarrassing results. Well, who reads books? And then you get maybe 1 or 2 people put their hands up. Here I get better responses. But still, it's embarrassing. Because, and your books for school don't qualify, I'm sorry. And if you're in university or you're in school, those books don't qualify. I'm talking about actually learning. Actually picking up books and learning and trying to take the experiences of those who came before you. Trying to educate yourself about life in general, philosophy and religion and politics and geography and history. Actually knowing things. Because if you don't know anything, you have no power. Because knowledge is power. It always has been. It was in the past, it is today, it will be till the end of time. It's not about your muscles. I know we all want it. It's about knowledge. Those who know more are much more powerful in their lives in general. And if we, as an ummah, knew more, as an ummah, if we had more knowledge, if we just followed this first command, if this first words just resonated somehow with us, and we started performing and practicing Iqra, then things would change dramatically, significantly, within a very short period of time. Because you're doing it in His Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaqa al-insana min alaq. He created you from a clot of blood. You were very simple before, but look at you now. Look at where you are. Look what you have achieved. Look how far you can go. Look how much you can expand from a clot of blood to this. Imagine if the more you read, the more you learn, the more you comprehend, you're growing, you're getting bigger and bigger. Maybe not in size, but in depth and in meaning, you're becoming bigger and bigger. You were just a clot of blood at one point. Look what He did, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look how far He brought you. Continue the way. Continue the road. He brought you this far. What are you stopping? Why is your knowledge ending here? Why is your experience ending here? Why have we turned into society to very superstitious and very superficial and very far away from knowledge and science? And we fight about things that are so silly and so meaningless and useless because we waste so much time not educating ourselves properly, not learning. Iqra. Look at the concept of knowledge in the first 5 verses of the Quran. Let's go through the concept of knowledge in the first 5 verses of the Quran. Iqra, that's number 1. Bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, khalaqa al-insana min alaq. Then Iqra again, that's 2 times. Iqra, read and with the comprehension and the meaning that I explained to you, not just reciting written text as I explained. Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram. I love this verse. You know what it means? Read, and your Lord is the most generous. Have any of you wondered what to read? Read what? He didn't say. Where is it? Where is the maf'ul bihi here? In both. Doesn't exist. Read! What? Just read. Everything. Just read everything. Read, and your Lord is the most generous. Meaning generosity will come to you in such abundance if you just read. Again, don't limit this to a book. Please don't limit this to a book. Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram. So twice. Alladhi allama. He taught. So that's the 3rd time knowledge is here. Allama. Bil qalam. Al qalam, the pen, the tool of knowledge. Allama. Again, 5 times now. Allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. He taught the human being that which he did not know. 6 references to knowledge in 5 verses. The first 5 verses of the Quran. Is that a coincidence? Is that a coincidence? Yeah? It just happened to be? It just worked out like that? Or is there a message in there for you? Or is there a message in there for me? Are we supposed to pick up on something here? When he is saying Iqra, he uses the command to learn twice. He uses the tool of knowledge, the pen. He talks about teaching twice, and he talks about learning a 6th time. All aspects of that process comes in 5 verses, the first 5 verses that the Prophet ﷺ ever heard. You can go, and everyone knows the surah. You can go back and read the surah in depth if you want to know more about this. And that's it. Jibreel left. He left the Prophet ﷺ with these words. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. He has no idea what just happened. Or maybe he did, but wasn't sure. I don't know. But it was the middle of the night. There was no introduction. It was very startling. He was hugged to death by a creature he'd never seen before, and he was given these 5 verses. He was so scared, and there's no problem with him being scared, alayhi salatu. He's human. He was so scared, he was so startled. It was such an intense moment that he began to shake. If you've ever been in a moment like that, you'll know what this means. He began to shake. He was cold, and he ran down the mountain, full speed. He just ran down the mountain. It would take him at least 20 minutes of running. He just ran the whole time, alayhi salatu wasalam. Where did he run? He ran back to Khadija. He ran back to her, alayhi salatu wasalam. We often just jump over this point and continue the story because the story is so interesting. But he ran back to her, alayhi salatu wasalam. How many men here, when they're in true difficulty, run back to their wives? I hope, inshallah. I hope that's the nature of the relationships. I really do. I pray that is the nature of this relationship. And if it's not, as a man, please revise that. And as a wife, revise that as well. I'm not trying to blame anyone here. And frankly, there's no point of us continuously blaming one gender for every problem. That's not how things work. When that's not the issue, when that's not the case, when you're in difficulty and you don't run back to your wife the way the Prophet ﷺ ran down that mountain only wanting to see one person, interested in the input of one person, Khadija, both of them made that happen. Both of them made sure that was the case. That he would feel most comfortable telling this story to his wife. I want you to think about things being a bit different. He's already going and spending a week somewhere in the wilderness, leaving his wife and children at home. How she accepted that is beyond me till this. I still don't understand how she was okay with that, radiallahu anha, but she was. Now she's going to come running down to tell his wife, I was hugged by an alien and told all this stuff. This is what I get for letting you do this. Of course you're going to come down. Some alien spoke to you, right? Some alien hugged you. Come on, Habibi. This is what it is. Of course, this is my life. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, this is my life. My husband goes and spends a couple of months up in a mountain somewhere doing something I don't understand. Now he comes telling me some alien is hugging him, telling him words I don't understand. No, not Khadija. Wallah, it's amazing. I don't know how I do not understand Khadija radiallahu anha. And that's why I have this level of respect for her that I don't have for anyone else. Because I don't understand her. How she responded to him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the way she did is beyond me. He came in running, telling her, Zammiluni, Dathiruni, put a blanket on me, put a blanket on me, warm me. He was freezing, alayhi salatu wasalam, he was shivering. So she's not upset, she's not yelling, she does not look at, what is this, what happened? No, she's calm, she does it. What's wrong, what happened? And he tells her the most bizarre story you could possibly imagine. I want you to imagine him telling her, alayhi radiallahu anha, what happened in the mountain. And no matter how many times you play this dialogue in your head, it just doesn't make sense. I cannot imagine her response it had to be Khadija. I told you, it had to be Khadija. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose her. Things would have been different if it wasn't Khadija. Wallah, it was. فَقَالَتْ هَوِّنْ عَلَيْكَ. Okay, calm down. So the Prophet ﷺ looked at her and said, Ya Khadija, khashitu ala nafsi. I got scared for myself. I thought this was punishment of some sort. I thought that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was punishing me. Immediately she would answer. You can move forward one more. قالت كلا والله لا يخزيك الله أبدا. She said, no, impossible. Allah would never punish you. He would never mistreat you, not a chance. And then she would count for him, oh my gosh, radiallahu anha, 5 things of why she thinks that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would never punish him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and this is prior to his prophecy. Things he did prior to his prophecy. I will explain them to you inshallah next halaqah. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for coming. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanakallah bihamdik. Shadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Jazakumullah khair.